Hello and welcome to a very special edition of On Course of 2012, here at the Olympic Canoe Sprint Test event at Dorney Lake. Now, before we crack on, I feel I need to explain something. The more observant among you can't fail to have noticed that I'm not actually Helen Reeves. Well, Helen's had a baby and she's on maternity leave, and both mother and child are doing very well. I gather young Charlie's already had his first run down the Olympic Channel at Lee Valley, and he's been groomed for fast track. So, coming up on this edition of On Course to 2012. We look back at the London Prepared series of Olympic test events, talk Olympic Canoe Sprint Qualification with Performance Director John Anderson, and look at the search for new Paracanoe talent ahead of the sport's introduction to the Paralympics in Rio in 2016. With more or less a year to go to the London Games, the Olympic bandwagon rolled into town in the shape of the London Prepares series of test events. The Canoe Slalom event at Lee Valley got things underway with a bang. Finally, we were able to see the course being put through its paces in international competition, and with the world's best athletes all eager to get a slice of the action, those who came along to watch the racing weren't disappointed. Seeing the likes of Mikhail Martican and Peter Kauser lining up alongside GB Canoeing's finest gave a real taste of what's to come in 2012. While the grandstands were missing, the course infrastructure was all in place, and Lee Valley looked resplendent in its Olympic dressing, albeit the test event series colours. Actual results on the day for GB Canoeing weren't what the athletes would have hoped for, but this competition was always about testing the facilities rather than the athletes. And it was enough simply to see Lee Valley hosting the world's best and proving what a great venue it's going to be, both for the Olympic Canoe Slalom competition and, of course, the World Championships in 2015. Over at Dorney Lake about a month later, there was a more relaxed feel for the proceedings at the Canoe Sprint Test. Coming off the back of the World Championships in Hungary only a few weeks beforehand, and with glorious sunshine throughout, the event had more of a feel of an end-of-season gathering than an Olympic preview. Having said that, when the buckets dropped, the competition was as fierce as if it was finals day at the Olympics themselves, with athletes all keen to lay down the marker of being the first to win an international canoe sprint race on the London Olympic course. Pretty much all the key players for next year's Olympics lined up, but the headline act was definitely the 200 metre competition. The commentators ramped up the hype, and you could just imagine the atmosphere next year for the first ever 200 metre Olympic races, especially as Team GB will have two of its best prospects for gold in the whole of the Olympic canoe competition at this distance. Ed McKeever delivered the goods in impressive style to take the win in the men's K1.
Kind of part of me says this isn't the real thing, next year's what counts, but it's nice to come here and win. Yeah, we've got 11 months now to the Olympics, so that's going to fly around. Obviously, regattas next April, May time is where we'll kind of start picking it up again. But we've got to get a good solid winter under our belts and hopefully be standing on top of the podium next year.
And in the K2, John Schofield and Liam Heath picked up our second medal with bronze in their event.
I can say it's been a really tight, close, fast race here today. It'll be tighter, closer and faster next year. It should be really good fun, even for the non-canoe fan to watch, be it on TV or if they can come down to Dorney and watch, even better. Yeah,
because of the 200 metres event especially, it's going to be right in front of their faces with the stadium being down the length of the 200 metres, so they're going to have the whole event unrolling in front of their eyes rather than the 1,000 metres where it starts at the other end and comes through, which is very exciting, but you haven't seen the start. Here they get the whole show and it's going to be fast, furious and high-paced and exciting, and they'll be standing, they won't be sitting. It's going to be.
After the Dorney test, we called up with GB Canoeing's Performance Director John Anderson to get his thoughts on the 2011 Canoe Sprint season.
It's been a good year. It's been a really good year. Our athletes won 10 medals at the World Cups, 3 medals at the European Championships in Belgrade, and then 3 medals at the Senior World Championships 10 days ago in Szeged. So we've come here for the last event at Dorney. It's been really good to race at home, I have to say. Locog have put on a good event. All the top athletes in the world are here, and it's an opportunity for our athletes to race internationally on the water they train on every day. And of course the venue for the Olympic Games next year. So, you know, we've finished the season on a high note and we're very pleased. You know, the really big job in Szeged was to qualify Olympic places. Of course our athletes are successful and we want them to continue to be successful, put in good performances, which many of them did. There were a number of PBs there, but the name of the game was Olympic Qualification. So standing here today with 9 places, you know, qualified, that's a good position. We have another opportunity next year at the second round European Qualification, which is in May in Poznan. And really the opportunity there, I feel, is for the women's K2 and the men's K2 1,000 metre events. That's what we'll be sort of going for there, with a possibility of getting some more athlete places. In terms of selection, we haven't actually selected anybody yet into any of the Olympic places. We've qualified the places, no one's selected into them. So it's a process next year in one of our own regattas, the April regatta, and one of the World Cups, where we'll absolutely confirm the athletes in the places to go forward. So everything to play for.
In October, GB Canoeing rolled out its programme to bring through new Paracanoe talent ahead of the sport's inclusion in the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio. They teamed up with Help for Heroes at their new personnel recovery unit at Tebworth House in Wiltshire for the first of a number of talent ID days. As Paracanoe Programme Manager, Steve Harris explains.
Paracanoeing has now been accepted into the 2016 Olympics in Rio, and there's a big drive on the part of GB Canoeing to do well at those Olympics. So we're doing everything we can right now in order to put kind of people in place in order to achieve the best that we possibly can at 2016.
It's been pretty intense, a big ask from the observers and the selectors, but been looking forward to it for a long time, and I've really tried to give everything today. It really mean a lot to get something out of it.
It's given me a workout physically, and that's what I've lost since I've been injured. I mean, I was quite active before I got shot, so it's the buzz I get after I've done something. You know, and it's good to get it back.
These guys are actually starting to set the benchmark. We don't have any benchmarks for paracanoeists from the past, so these guys are setting standards, and they're very comparable with what you would call able-bodied athletes. So I'm very enthused about their abilities and our programme going forward, definitely.
To wrap things up for this edition of On Course to 2012, we thought we'd head back to Dorney and leave you with what will hopefully be an exact preview of next year's men's K1 200 metre Olympic final. And, fingers crossed, a win for Ed McKeever. Well, that's all from us here at Dorney and the Olympic Canoe Sprint Test event. We'll see you next time.